2014 Toyota Avalon with the 3.5 V6 engine, and today we're going to be replacing the front passenger side CV axle. Now this job will pretty much be exactly the same for both sides, except for the passenger side CV axle is the longer one because the transmission is on the driver's side of the engine bay. So you do have that medium brace where it bolts into the back of the engine, and that's the only difference. So this video will help you for both the passenger and the driver's side with only that small difference, but everything else is exactly the same. And I got my big fan going, so if this has some wind noise in it, I do apologize for that. It has been raining for a couple hours, but even with the rain, we are still at 90 degrees. It has been a hellish 2 weeks out here in North Carolina. Last week we had a big heat wave come through. It was 110 inside my shop. I was dying. I actually ended up closing early a couple days in a row. Anyway, enough about me. Let's get to this job, and hopefully this helps you out. And obviously our first step is going to be to remove the 5 21mm lug nuts from our wheel, except for this one. This one's broken and missing. It's already rusted over, so it probably happened maybe a couple years ago. I'm not too sure, but anyway, customer's already been made aware of that. Let's go ahead and remove the other 4. If she wants to replace that, maybe I'll put a how to replace your front hubs on this car video on YouTube down the road, but we'll see what the customer wants to do first. And next, we can hopefully get this CV axle bolt off. This is looking pretty rusty, so I'm not too confident in it. But you're gonna need a 30mm 12-pointed impact socket. We'll just see if we can't get this off. Fortune smiles upon us. Alright, our CV axle is locked up inside of this hub, so hopefully we'll be able to knock this out. We're going to get ourselves a metal punch and a hefty hammer. See if we can't break it loose. Nice. Yeah. So you won't always need to do this step. Sometimes they just get stuck, and sometimes they get so stuck that they'll actually rust solid inside of that hub, and you'll have to pull this whole thing apart and replace the hub with the CV axle. But hopefully nobody runs into that, and if you do, sorry, nothing really you can do about it but replace the CV axle with a new hub. And yes, it does suck. And one of my favorite things about these vehicles is that their lower ball joint / lower control arm, you can separate them using these 3 bolts right here. Well, actually 1 bolt and 2 nuts. They're all 17mm, but that right there is the best idea that anybody's come up with, to put these bolts here rather than having to fight the lower ball joint and things like that. You can just undo these 3 bolts. Absolutely love seeing this. It makes doing work on the suspension so much easier. Just pull down and separate. Drop my light bar, but that's okay. And with them separated, hopefully this shows up all right without the light bar. And wiggle out our CV axle and pull it out of the steering knuckle, like so. And next we go underneath the vehicle like so. And right here, you'll see a giant pair of, or I guess a giant snap ring is what you would refer to it as. And that's locking the CV axle in place so it cannot come out from that middle hub. And this is what I was referring to. This is the only difference between the passenger side and the driver's side, is that the driver's side does not have this And pretty much all you need to do is reach up here for a big old pair of channel locks and pop that ring out like so. And then, you know, sometimes, which, well, I'll say pretty much all the time, you're probably gonna need to come in here with a hammer and gently tap right around here to knock it loose. And that's gonna pull it out of the transmission on this side. So you can see where this goes all the way over here. Now, you're gonna need to get a catch can, because when you pull this out of the transmission, 9 out of 10 times you'll have transmission fluid leaking out. And of course my phone wants to ring. Alright, I'm back. So as I was saying, when this CV axle is pulled out of the transmission, 9 out of 10 times you'll have transmission fluid start leaking down here. So make sure you've got a catch can ready, just so you don't have a mess. If you have a clean catch can, you can just put that fluid back in. If not, I would definitely recommend just getting some fresh fluid. You kind of want to pre-stage the new CV axle over here, so that way when you pull this one out, you can put it on the floor, pick up the new one, and throw it in there real quick, so you can minimize the amount of fluid you lose. But, you know, we'll see how it comes out. 15 millimeter. Grab my brass punch, see if that can't help me out. Yeah, that's exactly what it needed, it just flew out of there. All right, make sure that our catch can is lined up, something about right here maybe. And we've got our new CV axle pre-staged and ready to go in, so hopefully this can be a nice, smooth transaction. I doubt it, but you never know. See if you decide to rip into. It's always fun. Luckily, it looks like we're not going to lose any transmission fluid. So that's good at least. So, seeing as we're not going to lose any transmission fluid, we can take our time swapping the snap ring right here over to the new CV axle. Now as you're looking at this, you'll see that there's a smallest groove right in the middle, right dead center in there. Just line that up on this side and give it a pull. And do the opposite. Oh my Lord in heaven. And on this side, you just kind of push it in. And with the snap ring switched over to the new axle, let's go ahead and put this thing in. Kind of a pain in the butt to do by yourself, but what you gonna do? Take your time lining it up. Don't force anything, or else you could damage the new boots. And you don't want to damage the seal going into the transmission either. So make sure you take your time lining that up. And with everything lined up, we're going to come in here. We've already got it started into the transmission. We're going to run this nut off until it is flush with the head, so we don't damage any of the threads. And we're just going to gently tap this into the transmission. And you can hear that sound change when it's bottoming out. And there you have it. Perfect. Perfect. Insert this into our hub. spinning the hub, waiting for it to line up, and you can just sort of wiggle it in a wee little bit, tight like a tiger. Now this is covered in axle grease now, so this is gonna be fun. It appears that our CV axle is not lined up in the hub anymore. Why is it deciding to be a pain? I'm not too sure. I'm gonna go ahead and put the nut on because I don't want it coming back out again. So I'll just put the nut on just a little bit, a couple turns, just to make sure it stays in there this time. Start all three of these by hand. You don't want to do one, because if you just do one or two, somehow it's not going to be lined up and you won't be able to start that third one. I'm gonna go wash my hands. I'll be right back. All right, we're back. I just didn't want to touch my power tools with axle grease all over my hands. Beautiful. And we can put our locking bolt back down. Make sure that this piece of rubber is still there. It does need that. Yeah, come on, we can start. Thank you. And that doesn't need to go down crazy hard, just a quick tap, nothing crazy. Rotate our snap ring around, or it can fight me for absolutely no reason. Let go. Got myself a zip tie. Putting it on the snap ring. Installing this snap ring typically ends up being the most time-consuming pain in the butt. Grab yourself a zip tie and just do this, because it'll make it so much easier. You'll probably need to go around with a flathead screwdriver. Oh, how did you do that? No. There we go. That's in there. And then we can just very carefully come in here with a pair of diagonal side cutters and snip. I said snip. There we go. Beautiful. Exactly what it should look like. Love it. And if you have a mess like me, make sure you clean it up. Let's go ahead and put this down real quick. The new nut is a 6-sided, so I gotta find my 6-sided 30mm. That actually might be a 32 now, which makes more sense. That's a lot more easily available. But anyway, I don't want to make this video too long. Go ahead and put this nut down, put your wheel on, and if you had any transmission fluid come out, make sure you replace it. Other than that, that's pretty much the entire job. If you need torque specs for anything, you're gonna have to do that yourself, because I do not want to be legally responsible if I give you the wrong information. So that's up to you guys. But if you'd like to see another video on one of these vehicles, go ahead and check out that one right there. I made that one just for you. And if this video helped you out, leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see y'all next time.